What do you get when you have an MMORPG? Take out the MMO and change it into a single player game? A really, really good time. CrossCode is my game of the year. It's a 2D single player action RPG, text-based like the classics of old. The premise is characters log into an MMO called Crossworld and play the game, complete with quests, exploration and combat. You play as a player, very meta, called Leah. The genius of this game is not only the references to numerous other beloved games and movies, but the subversion behind them. The MMO is not VR, but AR, with players' avatars being transported to a real moon in actual space, and interacting with other AR elements. Quests are often not what you expect, with a trip into the jungle taking you to an urban rooftop fighting mobster parrots, or hunting down an evil penguin leader, only to discover he lives in a techno house cave, dropping the fattest beats in the Arctic. Exploration is another major leg of the sturdy table that is this game. You can move around environments in any order you want, collecting chests, plant matter, and solving puzzles to collect better chests. The platforming is your standard running auto jump, and it does have a learning curve locating those tricky cublets of wonder. Finding where to start is the key to finding most chests. Also, it has great Zelda-style dungeons for you purists out there, complete with varying elements and incremental difficulty that you purists love. Down to brass knuckles now. The combat is smooth, precise, and cool looking. You've got your standard combo, along with dashes, blocks, ball busting, and a spicy plethora of special moves. You also have 5 elements to use and master in different situations, one of them being the normal, everyman, day job element. And for you people that insist that Diablo 2 is far better than Diablo 3, there's even a skill tree, which you can customize to suit your pugilistic needs. Add in a multitude of buyable and creatable equipment with many buffs and debuffs, and classic leveling up, and you've got yourself an RPG. All in all, CrossCode is a solid 70 plus hours of primo pixels, platforming, puzzling, pugilistic fun. Get into it.
So my game of the year isn't a new one or anything, but I think it was the best game I've played all year, and that was new to me anyways, and that was Sonic Rush. I did a short video on this game already, so if you want to see that, check it out here. Alright, the shameless plug is over. At first glance, Sonic Rush looks like a gimmicky Sonic title put out for the Nintendo DS in order to take advantage of the dual screen, and at least, well, that's what I thought at first. It's made by Dimps too, and I feel like they have a bad rap in some circles of the community, particularly those who really favor the original 16-bit titles. I'm a massive fan of those games too, but I respect Dimps and what they've done in the space. Not only Sonic Rush, but the Sonic Advance series too. Sure, they helped with Sonic 4, but those are another pair of games that have a bit of an unfair reputation. I mean, of course they're not amazing platformers or anything, but they're pretty decent, and if anything, Episode 2 is pretty solid. So back to Sonic Rush. I had a really good time with this game. I was originally going to skip over it and do only 30 Sonic titles that I've played before this year, but I feel like it's such a big part of Sonic history that I had to give it a go, and I'm so glad that I did. What I found was a unique Sonic platformer with a fun gimmick. The trick system takes a second or two to get used to, and you might get sick of the sound bits really quick, but with such a fast-paced game, it didn't bother me too much. I was too busy trying to figure out how to get onto the next part as fast as possible. Of course, Blaze the Cat makes her debut here, and all the canon story stuff aside, she's a good character. She comes off as a stoic, I don't need help type, but she quickly warms up to Cheese, and their friendship is pretty cute. You might think she's the same as Shadow at first, but once you dig into her backstory a bit, you'll see that she has her own unique set of challenges to deal with, and for someone like her, Sonic's carefree, go-lucky attitude without much forethought can rub them the wrong way, and it does. Although I think they just really wanted an excuse to have the two main characters go at it. They play almost the same, but Blaze has a few abilities that Sonic doesn't, such as being able to float in the air for example. I think this actually makes it a bit easier than Sonic's game actually, since he just seems to play at a faster pace, but maybe that's just me. The main game itself is more or less the same, and you'll have to run through both stories in order to get the real ending. Oh yeah, you'll need the Chaos Emeralds too, which are only in Sonic's story. Blaze gets her emeralds after each boss fight, so no worries there. They should have had 2 sets of special stages for the extra challenge, but I guess 14 is quite a lot. The game isn't extremely challenging, but it'll definitely prove a tough cookie for those who've never played it before. Bosses in particular can be pretty challenging, and I found myself having to go back at them more than once. The secret boss is also a lot of fun, and I like switching between Sonic and Blaze. You have to use their special traits to take down the Eggmen. Fans of the series might be miffed that it's more or less another Doomsday fight, but I think it's actually more like the Sonic Pocket Adventure fight, which itself is just another Doomsday fight, but it's actually really tough at first. Trying to hit the bombs back at Eggman took me a while to get down. I don't want to say the music is the main charm of the game, but my goodness, is it a lot of fun. I hadn't heard it before, but one day before getting into Rush, the special stage theme came on and I was immediately hooked. It's just so much fun, and it adds the feeling of being rushed through a stage, but not in a negative way. I think they could have easily gone the way of stage themes resembling the stages that they're in, like an Egyptian-esque sound, the type. Instead, they do kind of go for something like that, but it's different with that extra funk, and it really spices the game up. I know I've described it as funky many times, but it's just so emblematic of the soundtrack. I wish we got more Sonic music from Hideki Naganuma, but apparently Sega didn't let him know that they were making a sequel, which is a shame, of the highest order. I haven't played Sonic Rush Adventure yet, but I think it'll be hard to top this OST. So Sonic Rush for me was definitely a surprise, and I'm glad I was able to play it. I think the dual screens work well, and it gives the game a sense of scale, along with speed. The only reason I don't like it is because this is probably the main reason that the game won't be released nowadays. It's a shame because even without the dual screens, I think the game could stand on its own as a solid successor to the advanced games, and just a solid Sonic title in general. It's definitely one of the better ones, and if you can get your hands on it and throw it in a 3DS, you'll have a great time.
Metroid Dread is my game of the year. A game long rumored, forgotten, and then reforged. The game is a love letter to the series lore and packs the sincerest depiction of bounty hunter Samus Aran. At first glance, you'd be remiss to shrug off a 2D entry to the franchise that has been so successful as a first-person adventure. But in true Metroid fashion, Dread pulls off a win with buttery smooth controls, a phenomenally detailed animation system, and a definitive conclusion to the 2D series. Everything about Dread oozes with a distinctly Metroid vibe, and yet it still manages to surprise. Storytelling has never been a strong point for the series. However, the manner in which Dread chooses to advance the narrative is satisfying and quite a relief, seeing as Other M really burned a lot of people with its melodrama. The feeling of isolation, awe, intrigue, and dread, pun intended, are mixed in a very unique and challenging adventure. I found myself collecting every secret and taking on the ridiculous challenges to get 100%. The intuitive controls and design of Dread feel like a natural extension, or dare I say evolution, of Super Metroid, the critically acclaimed SNES game. What is more surprising is that very few people seem to be talking about the exceptional manner in which the game presents Samus Aran. Samus is depicted as a strong, confident, yet slightly flawed female. There's a growth to the character which has been absent from previous titles. It fixes a lot of the narrative gripes people had with Other M, and manages to elevate Samus once more to the pantheon of the most dangerous bounty hunters in the galaxy. Dread is a hard game out of the gate, and will leave a lot of casual gamers scratching their heads. But if you invest the time and energy, it truly shines as the most atmospheric title of 2021. Metroid Dread is an extremely polished gem that demands multiple playthroughs, be it for sequence breaking or speedrunning, or maybe you want to run through the entire adventure again. A true return to form and worth your time. Metroid Dread is my game of the year, so don't skip it.